all-night society. I work as a night shift nurse. I have done this for 6 years. I work in an old hospital in the city. The night shift is usually quiet. We dim the lights at 10:00 p.m. Most patients sleep. I spend my time doing paperwork and checking vitals. One Tuesday, I was working on the 4th floor. This floor is for patients recovering from surgery. It was 2:30 a.m. My coworker, Sarah, was on her break in the lounge. I was alone at the nurse's station. The hallway was very long and dark. The only light came from the small lamps at my desk. Suddenly, a call light turned on. It was for room 412. I looked at my chart. Room 412 was empty. A woman had been discharged from that room at 4:00 p.m. I thought maybe a cleaning person had bumped the button. I walked down the hall to turn it off. I entered the room. It was cold. The bed was stripped. There were no sheets or pillows. I pressed the cancel button. The red light went out. I walked back to my desk. 2 minutes later, the light for room 412 turned on again. I felt a little annoyed. I thought the button was broken. I went back to the room. When I got to the door, I stopped. The room was still empty, but the television was on. It was showing static. Loud, gray static. I did not turn the TV on. I know it was off when I was in there a moment ago. I walked over and turned the TV off. Then I pressed the cancel button for the call light again. I looked around the bathroom. No one was there. I went back to the desk. I sat down and tried to focus on my notes. Then I heard a sound over the intercom. Each room has a speaker so patients can talk to us. The intercom for room 412 clicked on. I heard a scratching sound. It sounded like fingernails on metal. Then I heard a voice. It was a very dry, raspy whisper. The voice said, "It is too cold in here." My skin went cold. I did not move. I looked at the monitor. The room was empty on the screen. Then the code blue light started flashing for room 412. A code blue means a patient's heart has stopped. I ran to the room because it is my job. I pushed the door open. The TV was back on static. The call light was blinking. The room was freezing. In the middle of the empty bed, there was a heavy dent. It looked like the shape of a person lying there. The mattress was pressed down, but no one was visible. The scratching sound came again, right from the empty bed. I did not stay. I turned around and ran back to the station. I sat there until Sarah came back from her break. I told her what happened. She looked at me and went pale. The lady who was in 412 earlier, Sarah said. She didn't make it home. She had a stroke in the parking lot and died yesterday evening. We stayed together at the desk for the rest of the night. The light for room 412 stayed on until the sun came up. I moved to the pediatric wing the next month. I do not work on the 4th floor anymore. I work in a big office downtown. My job is data entry. Sometimes I have to work the night shift. I usually work from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Last Tuesday, I was the only one on my floor. The lights in our building are on a timer. Most of them turn off at midnight. Only the lights over my desk stay on. The rest of the office is very dark and quiet. Around 1 a.m., I heard a sound. It was a soft, clicking noise. It sounded like someone typing on a keyboard. I stopped working and listened. The clicking stopped too. I thought it was just the building making noise. I went back to my work. At 2 a.m., I needed coffee. The break room is at the end of a long hallway. I walked down the hall. I heard the clicking again. It was faster this time. It was coming from a cubicle in the far corner. That cubicle belongs to a woman named Sarah. She was not working that night. "Hello," I said. My voice sounded very loud in the quiet room. Nobody answered. The clicking stopped instantly. I felt a bit nervous. I walked to Sarah's desk and looked over the wall. The chair was empty. The computer screen was black. There was nobody there. I went to the break room and made my coffee. I wanted to go home, but I had 4 hours left. I walked back to my desk. I looked at the floor and saw something strange. There were wet footprints on the carpet. They were small, like they came from someone wearing only socks. The prints led from Sarah's desk to the supply closet near my desk. I stood near the supply closet. I stayed very still. I heard heavy breathing inside the closet. It was slow and deep. My heart started beating very fast. I did not open the door. I walked back to my desk very quietly. I sat down and opened the security camera app on my computer. I have access to the cameras on our floor. I looked at the recording from 5 minutes ago. I saw myself walking to the break room. In the video, as soon as I turned the corner, the supply closet door opened. A man crawled out on his hands and knees. He was very thin and had long, messy hair. He was not wearing shoes. He crawled to my desk. He hid in the space where I put my legs. I froze. I was sitting at my desk right now. My legs were in that same spot. I could feel the cold air moving near my feet. I did not scream. I grabbed my phone and my car keys. I stood up and walked toward the exit. I did not run. I did not look down. I did not want him to know I saw him. As soon as I got to the hallway, I ran. I ran down the stairs because the elevator was too slow. I got into my car and locked the doors. I called the police. The police came quickly. They searched the office. They found the man in the ceiling tiles above my desk. He had a kitchen knife and a picture of me that he had taken from my desk. I quit my job the next day. I do not work night shifts anymore. I check the locks on my doors every hour. I still don't feel safe. I worked the night shift at a small hotel near the highway. It was a boring job. Most nights, I just sat behind the desk. I watched videos on my phone. I was usually alone from 11:00 p.m. to 7:00 a.m. One Tuesday, it was very quiet. Only 10 rooms were occupied. At 2:00 a.m., a man walked in. It was very hot outside, but he wore a heavy black coat. He did not have any bags. He looked very tired. His eyes were red. He asked for a room for one night. I asked for his ID. He handed it to me. His hand was shaking. I gave him the key to room 104. That room was on the first floor, at the end of a long hallway. He paid with cash and walked away. He did not say thank you. An hour later, I felt restless. I decided to walk around the building. I wanted to check the side doors. I walked down the hall of the first floor. When I got near room 104, I heard a sound. It was a soft, scratching sound. It sounded like a dog was trying to get through a door. I stopped and listened. The scratching stopped. Then I heard a heavy thud. It sounded like something heavy fell on the floor. I knocked on the door. "Is everything okay in there?" I asked. No one answered. I waited for a minute. Then I went back to the front desk. I felt uneasy. I looked at the security monitors. I checked the camera for the first floor hallway. The door to room 104 was wide open. The man in the black coat was standing in the middle of the hallway. He was not moving. He was staring directly at the camera lens. He stood there for a long time. It was very creepy. Suddenly, he started walking. He was not walking toward his room. He was walking toward the lobby. I sat very still. I watched him on the screen. He stopped at the corner just before the lobby entrance. He stayed there, hiding behind the wall. Then the phone on my desk rang. It was an internal call. I looked at the caller ID. It said room 104. My heart started beating very fast. The man was still on the camera, standing behind the wall. He was not on a phone. I picked up the receiver. "Hello," I whispered. A woman's voice spoke. She sounded terrified. She was whispering too. "He is in the room," she said. "Please, he has a knife." I looked at the monitor again. The man behind the wall stepped into the lobby. He looked at me and smiled. He reached into his coat. I did not stay to see what happened next. I ran out the back door and into the parking lot. I got in my car and locked the doors. I called 911. The police arrived in 5 minutes. They went inside the hotel. They found the man in the lobby. He was holding a large hunting knife and a roll of gray tape. They also went to room 104. They found a woman hiding in the bathtub. She was a guest from room 106. She said the man had broken into her room through the window. He had dragged her into room 104. She had managed to grab the phone while he went into the hallway. I quit that job the next day. I never went back to that hotel. I still have trouble sleeping at night. My name is Joe. I worked the night shift at Oak Grove Cemetery for 6 months. The job was simple. I walked around the paths with a flashlight. I checked the gates. I made sure no one was drinking or breaking things. The first few months were quiet. I saw some deer. I saw some owls. It was peaceful. But October was different. The air got very cold. The fog stayed low on the ground. One Tuesday night, I was walking near the back fence. This area is very old. The headstones are covered in moss. At 1:00 a.m., I heard a sound. It was a scraping noise. It sounded like stone rubbing against stone. I stopped walking. I turned off my flashlight. I wanted to listen. The cemetery was very still. Then I heard it again. Scrape, scrape. It was coming from the family vaults near the hill. I walked slowly toward the noise. My boots made a small sound on the gravel. I felt nervous. My heart was beating hard in my chest. I reached the first vault. I turned on my light. The heavy stone door was open just a few inches. Usually, these doors are locked tight. I looked inside the gap. The air smelled like wet dirt. I didn't see anyone. I thought the wind might have moved it, but that stone door weighed hundreds of pounds. I pushed the door shut. I locked it with my master key. 10 minutes later, I was across the field. I looked back at the hill. My flashlight beam hit the vault again. The door was open. It was open wider than before. I didn't go back this time. I used my radio to call the main office. There was only static. I checked my cell phone. I had no service. That was strange because I usually had 3 bars. I heard a footstep behind me. It was a heavy, slow step. I turned around fast. I saw a man standing near a large oak tree. He was wearing a dark suit. He looked very neat. He wasn't moving. He was just watching me. "The cemetery is closed," I said. My voice shook a little. The man did not say anything. He pointed toward the open vault on the hill. Then he started walking toward me. He didn't run. He just walked at a steady pace. I didn't stay to talk. I ran to my truck near the front gate. I got inside and locked the doors. Through the window, I saw the man standing at the edge of the light. He just stood there for an hour. He didn't try to get in. He just watched the truck. When the sun started to come up, he was gone. I went to the vault with my boss later that morning. We opened the door to check inside. The casket was moved. It was sitting on the floor. It was scratched, like something had been trying to get out. I quit my job that afternoon. I don't go near cemeteries now. I don't like the sound of scraping stone. I stay inside when it gets dark. People think cemeteries are scary because of ghosts. I think they are scary because of what people do in the dark.